Greetings, this is your host, Furley Almonte. This segment is now titled Rediscovering Travel, Cruising After Pandemic. My goodness, I am here right now, very, very eager to share with you all the highlights of my recent 8-night Eastern Mediterranean cruise with my co-host here, Maureen Distalo. Maureen, oh my goodness, this lady is an avid traveler herself. She actually went on a 25-day cruise. Can you believe that? I was exhausted with my 8-day cruise, and here she is with 25. My goodness, there's so much that we want to share because we would like to talk about COVID protocols after, right? And we would like to share some travel tips, all the highlights that we have experienced in our travels. Maureen, tell me, when did you go on a trip?
Well, actually, my cruise was just before COVID started, so I felt so blessed that I got to do this, and I didn't have to worry about COVID. And I really, really felt so bad for everyone when they had to cancel their cruises. And now I understand there are so many protocols. What did you have to experience?
My goodness, there were so many different protocol changes that actually got many people confused. Thank God for the app that Royal Caribbean actually gave, because every single day something changes. In the beginning they said okay, you have to show proof of vaccination. 48 hours before you embark, you need to be able to show proof that you are negative. And then there was another update that said that you need to have self-testing, but it need to be proctored by a pharmacy or a medical professional. And then just right before we embarked on the cruise, we actually got a wonderful news that there was no longer testing required. So whoo-hoo! Anyway, before we go there, I just wanted to share with the audience why this is very meaningful. You went before COVID. Right. I went after. The reason why actually my family and I decided to go on a cruise is to celebrate life, because I never got to celebrate my 60th birthday because of COVID, and so did my spouse Christine. She never got to celebrate her 60th as well. And then of course during all of this time I was diagnosed with cancer, and so this past year has been really horrific. And the fact that I was able to complete my 12 cycles of chemo, and I'm now back to being cancer-free. Yay! And so it was a celebration of life, and there's so much to be grateful for. So, and this is a treat that was given to me by my daughter and my spouse. So, and so we bought this. By the way, we bought the cruise during the height of the pandemic, so we were able to get it at a steal. Yes. But of course, you have to spend if you're going on a cruise in Europe, you have to fly to Europe, right? Yes. Where did you fly from?
I flew into, actually I flew into Rome, and I stayed in Rome for a week, and then we picked up the ship outside of Rome, and then cruised the Mediterranean.
Yeah, and in my case, I just came back actually 2 weeks ago, and basically we flew into Athens, Greece. We stayed there for 2 days before embarking so we could explore Greece a little bit, and then we went to Greece, we went to Italy, to France and Spain, and we stayed in Barcelona 2 extra days on Airbnbs. Actually, don't just explore hotels, because Airbnbs are great for families.
Yes, they are. I know that. I haven't experienced it, but my family has, and they have loved it.
Yeah, it's, you have a lot more liberty, and you can also save a lot more money because you're able to share space, and you can even buy food. Not that you want to cook, but but it's so wonderful to be able to have a bigger space rather than just a place to sleep, right? And so let's talk about the cruise.
All right.
Well, the cruise itself was a lot of fun. There's so much activities to do. My daughter and her fiance actually are very physically active, right? So they were rock climbing and doing all the things that they're a little bit more challenging to people like us who are more seasoned in age. But of course, I went and participated in karaoke, and there were also line dancing and stuff like that, and there were formal evenings. So there was a lot to do in the ship itself. I was exhausted, Maureen, because for the 8 nights, we actually docked on a port every single day.
Yes,
so
I know.
there was so much to do, and I encourage, that people go on different tours, because you can go as inexpensively as hop on, hop off. It's only 10 euros. So you can tour the city and then kind of like choose the places that you want to get off and then explore a little bit more.
Well, I also found, Furley, that cruises are not just for the young. We found on the 25-day cruise, because it's so long, that there were a great number of senior citizens, and they are accommodated beautifully. I saw so many people on walkers, and they were able to get off the ship, get on the tour buses or a cab, and go places. I don't want to see anyone say, I can't be on a cruise because of my age.
Yeah, actually, I'm showing some photos from here, because both of us went to the Acropolis.
Yes.
Like the Mount Vesuvius, and this was obviously been destroyed. And so, oh no, wait a minute, I'm talking about a different place now. I'm talking first about Acropolis, which we have on the screen right now.
Yes.
So, for people like us, it's not going to be easy to be trekking uphill, because it's cobblestone, it's very uneven.
The Acropolis is on top of a very high mountain. It is not easy. That's the part that you really have to climb practically.
Yeah.
You're not walking up a nice flight of stairs with a railing. However, in sharing about our experiences, we both found out after we were on the top that there was another way to get up there.
Exactly. It was so funny, because when we were there, I am telling you, the first phase, I thought I was going to give up, because I was short of breath. I brought my inhaler. I wore comfortable shoes, but I was like, oh my God. I prayed to all the active gods to please give me the health and the stamina to be able to go up the hill. And, because there are several phases to it. But then again, of course, I made it to the top of the Acropolis.
Yes.
Woo! Oh my goodness. That was a really wonderful moment. And just like what Maureen was saying, we both found out that there is a different way to get up there. I saw a walker.
Right.
I saw a wheelchair right on top of the Acropolis. And it turns out that there is another entrance that people who are going to be on buses or cars can get into to be able to go up there if they're not physically able to. So it was wonderful. Right on the screen is a picture of me and my daughter on the top of the Acropolis. So it's so wonderful. Believe me, that is very hard to walk into, because I did not wear the most comfortable shoes back then. But some people get injured. You can very, very easily twist your ankle. And
you definitely can. You really need good shoes.
Look at my daughter there. It's almost victorious. Like I made it up there on top, right? And that's my spouse actually taking her photo.
Right.
Oh, what a wonderful experience it was. And that's my spouse, of course. I'm telling you, it's just absolutely phenomenal experience. Now, that is overlooking is the theater. It looked like a theater, where they have all the fights.
Yes, it was a wonderful theater. You looked at it, and it was very steep. Climbing up it, I thought, well, these people didn't live very long. But it was very steep, but it was magnificently preserved.
Yes. By the way, in Greece, I love Greece, if you ask me. People are so warm, so very accommodating. And, we went to see Santorini. Santorini is...
Yes.
Oh my goodness, majestic. It does not even begin to tell you how beautiful it is. By the way, we went on a very good time. We went in October. They said if we were there at the height of summer, there would be probably 4 cruise ships docking, and it would be very, very crowded. Right. And so when it was our time, there was only 1 ship. So it was, while there was still a lot of people waiting in line to get that perfect shot for that perfect view, You see that it's not because people were standing in line in a very narrow pathway to be able to get that view, and so if there's a lot of people, it's very hard to to get a good shot without many people like blocking the view.
Right.
Yeah, and so like Santorini was absolutely phenomenal, and
Yes.
I would like to take a moment to talk about Greece, because one of the things that I love about Greece is the people and their way of life. It's a whole different culture, Maureen.
It's a whole different way of being. They take the afternoon off. I mean, really, they really do. They go and they have their big meal in the middle of the day, and they're just delightful people.
Delightful.
So accommodating.
Oh my goodness! When we were in a cab, right? When we were in a cab, I was asking the taxi driver because we saw two ladies actually emptying garbage. Like they're collecting garbage, but in a very mechanical way. And so when they were, I said like, how much do those people make here? Like, what's the salary? They said like, oh, they make about 700 euros a month. And then if they go for higher studies, they could go for 900 a month.
A month.
And I said, a month?
Yeah.
And I said, how much do you pay for apartments here? They said about 350. And they said 350 euros. And they were saying that most Greek people, and this is just from the version of the taxi driver,
right.
Most Greek people don't have a lot of savings because they enjoy life. They spend time to socialize,
Yes,
right?
Yes,
yeah.
And be together.
To be together, they drink, they eat. And, actually one of the things that they said to me was, Europeans actually work to live. Americans live to work. Let that sink in for a moment. It was actually quite eye-opening that, we sometimes get too enslaved to work, that we don't spend time to enjoy life and bask in the majesty of nature, right?
Right.
It's absolutely wonderful, and so a very different way of life, different culture. People are so warm and all that. And you did share with me this taxi driver that actually also gave you.
We were driving around with a taxi driver who was showing us some of the sights, and we happened to mention that we were getting hungry for lunch, and would he take us someplace? Well, he went down the very next block, cobblestone, very narrow, stopped in the middle of the street, okay, jumped out of the car. We didn't know where he was going, and he went and got us something to eat and brought it back to the car.
Who does that, right?
Here we ate. And I thought, could you imagine a New York City taxi driver doing that for you?
By the way, in this photo, that was after a dinner that we had in Athens. The restaurant owner, it was so beautiful. Oh my God, we had like a kilo of lamb ribs and so many different delicious dishes. And the owner actually were so sweet and accommodating that even gave us free dessert, like the most delicious homemade yogurt with honey. Oh my God. And he was so nice. He just hugged and kissed me like an old friend.
Yes.
Very, Greeks are so wonderful people. These are more photos from the Acropolis. Actually, that's my daughter and my son, my future son-in-law. They're getting married next year, and that's my spouse and me, of course. Like, oh my God, like you can see, we're just overjoyed, right?
Oh, I'll say.
Yeah, and in the cruise ship, by the way, we also had formal nights. That was one of the photos that we had from our formal night. That's my daughter. You don't get dressed like in gowns and ball gowns anymore. Like I actually was just wearing a jumpsuit. Some wore very pretty dresses. Maybe a couple of people I saw in tux and a gown, but for the most part, they were just wearing pretty dresses. By the way, we took a lot of pictures, and that's more of me and Christine, and that is in Santorini. Now, I'd like to also talk about, by the way, the shops. You know what? I'm looking at your earrings, and I'm blinded by it. I know that you bought that.
I bought these earrings in a Greek island called Corfu, and we talked and negotiated with the owner quite a bit and wound up spending a great deal of money. Came back and I had them insured and I had them appraised. And I really thought, oh, we got taken. We didn't. Not one penny less when it was appraised. It was the exact amount of money that we had spent on them.
And it's absolutely...
I'm thrilled with them.
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. And what I'm wearing right now is actually from a lady just right on the marina. She is a lady who was actually doing nickel-free jewelry, and this is one of her creations. I actually bought also earrings, but unfortunately the following day I did not put a back on it. I lost it.
Oh no.
But you know, I love this. This is it's very flexible. See?
How sweet.
It's very nice, and it's
Yes.
and if you're allergic to different metals, it's nickel free. So that's one of those things. And one of the other things that I'd like to talk about. Okay, wait a minute. This is a church called Madonna Basilica, also in Greece. And I am telling you, I think I got the country wrong. But anyway, that basilica. Oh, wait a minute. Now I know. It was in Italy. It was absolutely beautiful. And I remember going inside there, trying to light a candle, but I could not figure out how to work it. But I was trying to communicate with the priest there, who does not speak English,
No.
and I could not speak Italian. So, and you know, I just said like, oh well, God is my witness. Yeah. And then, okay, here's another Santorini picture. And, oh, karaoke, of course. Who does not want karaoke? You know, music is everywhere. Music is everywhere. People just bask in the joy of being able to sing together. And what we did a lot of hop on, hop off, and this is one of like a double decker that we went to in. This was actually in Nice, France, and so you know again we toured the city. We did not tour much. There's Monaco. There's you know the city of Nice, and you just circle the area. There are beaches in there. It's actually warm in October, so I think I packed more for warm weather, for cooler weather.
Right.
And so thank God for you know dressing in layers.
I have to say, those get on, get off, hop on, hop off buses were marvelous. You got to see the whole city all at once, and then you could get off and spend extra time. I think I went to the most beautiful place for lunch on one of the Greek islands. They took us all around, and then we were up at the top. We got off, and there was this lovely little lunch place. You sat outside, you looked down on the water with a sailboat. I felt like a millionaire. I said, is this how the other half lives? And it was a bus ride.
Right. But behind me, like there, the picture in Toulon Bay, that is in France. Let me tell you something. My family and I were foodies. We love food. My daughter actually experienced this cruise in Europe. You know, from a gastronomy point of view. Point of view. Everything was all about food. She wanted to taste every cuisine that there is. But here in Toulon Bay in France, my goodness, the patisserie, the bakeries, the most delightful. Oh, I'm salivating just thinking about it. You know, the most delicious breads. Like you should see my daughter and my future son-in-law. They were just walking the streets of France. You know, eating bread without anything, just those.
Yes, oh yes, I could do that. I could have that as my full meal.
Yeah, and by the way,
look at that bread in that picture.
Yeah,
I love it. I want to eat it.
You know, we went on a lot of food tours as well. We joined some food tours, walking tours. So you go anywhere from the market. You go, you know, it's a very colorful market. I know I have it here somewhere. Like, you go on food tours. Like, you go to different places. You go to places that actually won the best croissant in Barcelona, for instance. You go on wine, how do you call that? Wine tastings.
Yes.
And then in this place that we even went for food tours, right after Acropolis, we went to restaurant hopping. So, you know, in one restaurant, you would go and eat cake, and they would tell you what's so special about that cake, and then you eat a little bit of tapas, and you eat a little bit of this, and at the same time, there's a little story behind each and every single meal that you're having, and it tells you also about the people, because a lot of them they take a lot of pride and joy in their own
I'll
creation.
say, yes.
So, invest on those food tours, because you will experience Europe in a whole different way, from gastronomy.
Did they also have a different wine for you to drink?
Yes.
With each?
Yes, different wines.
Yes, because in Italy we had that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, like you have one of the wine tastings that we went to. They have different glasses, and then they tell you which to pair with. Like, I don't know. By the time you're so drunk already,
Or happy, you're so happy.
you're so happy. You're right, and so a few things. I would love to share with you one of my special moment in Pompeii. By the way, before I go there, I just wanted to share this picture with you. You make good friends on the boat as well, because when we were there, we were assigned a table, and we were table 216, and we ended up sitting with a lady who actually travels basically all year round.
Yes.
That's Lorraine over there, and so she just she goes from one cruise to another alone, and she makes a lot of friends. She's such a beautiful, vibrant lady, and there's two ladies from Florida that we met up, and now they're very good friends. We are going to be on a Zoom call together, and we're planning on having another cruise together, and of course that's my family. So you'll never know who you're going to meet along the way.
That's very true. I'm still in touch with people in Taiwan. I met them on the cruise, and we still go on Facebook together. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's what's beautiful about technology as well, is that it allows you to stay connected.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can look at me and my spouse in that photo. We just love it. Oh, by the way, this was one of the walking food tours that we did. That we started in a marketplace in Barcelona. In Barcelona, by the way, in that the markets close at 3 o'clock. I said, why are the markets closed at 3 o'clock? So first of all, because most of the housewives basically are there shopping in the morning, so most of their food is fresh in the morning. And then after that, we went and we were asking them by the way, you don't want to go to the market there on a Monday. Why? Because they do not fish on weekends. Right. So you don't want to go there on a Monday, so you want to go there midweek, basically, if you want really fresh food.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I wish I had organized this, but this is one of the stops that we went to. This was meringue. What's that called? The thing that I forgot. In Christmas, it's very. It's not. It looks like fudge. Look at me. I'm having a senior moment right now. But anyway, there's sweets that they create that, and they sell that in little pieces.
I have the same problem. I come home and I say, I ate this marvelous thing in Spain. And I keep trying to remember the name.
Right, but I'm telling you, but I said I apologize for that, but but it was very delicious because we tried so many different things. They ask you for your food allergies if you
Yes.
have any, and then one of the things that we actually love was the croissant. Oh my goodness, the pistachio croissant was to die for. Oh my goodness, I wish I could just go back and I don't know where I could get that here in America. It was so delicious. That picture that you're seeing there actually was in a marketplace, and so that was actually our first stop. The first thing that they served us was champagne. in the morning. Can you believe that? 8 o'clock in the morning, they serve you champagne. And they serve us champagne and little sandwiches. And that little boy actually is from Australia. You see his head covering a little bit. So we had little sandwiches, different kinds of meats, different kinds of cheeses. And so we were saying cheers to good life.
Yes.
The marketplace is really very, very colorful. They have different meats. You can see that there are different dry meats in there. And then also they have different spices. They sell it by the kilo also. And and look at the fruits. I'm telling you, it's just like extremely colorful. And then, of course, they also have cooked food that you can buy in case you don't really have much time.
I was impressed with how large the markets were.
Yes.
I mean, you could walk in there for 3 days.
Yeah, and it's so
not
clean.
cover it all.
Yeah, and it's very, very clean.
Yes, very clean.
Yeah, but before, and this was actually part of, like, in Barcelona. But before I go over there, I just wanted to share a special moment. You know I'm hopping from one country to another because it's very hard. Like we took like thousands of photos, and for us to be able to just narrow it down to 30 is, almost impossible, and keep it organized. But anyway, I'm doing the best I can. But there's something that I want to share with you, and this is a lesson about seizing the moment. When we were in
Pompeii.
Yes, Pompeii.
Pompeii.
You were there too.
Yes, I was.
What was your favorite part of Pompeii?
I thought that it was an amazing thing to think that some of these people were in bed and they died in bed. Mount Vesuvius, it happened so quickly. They had no imagination that it was going to happen then, and they just were caught by surprise, and they all died. But it was a thriving city, and they had everything, including prostitution.
Yes, it was so funny because when you tour like Pompeii, you go on a tour and you walk to the different, the different alleys, so to speak, and you would see their houses, and you would see the brothel, and
Yes.
Prostitution was legal then, and so you actually would see different blocks on the street with the shape of a penis, and and that basically leads you to where to go to get some
Yes.
fix. And by the way, and just like a Chinese menu, right? They actually have pictures of the different sexual positions and then because there are foreigners that were going there, they just have to point what position they want. It's so funny. It's like, all of these little things that you see, and nuances, like, where they collect rainwater to bathe,
Yes.
things like that, and you can tell how many, who are rich, and I also noticed that there were no windows, and they were saying that the reason why most of the smaller houses have no windows is because there were a lot of thieves, because most
Yes.
of them were slaves.
Yes, it was a big, thriving city for the time, and it had every possible upset that we have today, and yet it had marvelous museums and galleries, and they had statues all over.
Yes.
Beautiful statues that have survived.
Yeah, but of course, my special moment happened at the amphitheater of Pompeii. Oh my goodness. This is a lesson about seizing the moment. You cannot plan this anymore perfectly. So we were there, with a tour guide, and when we went to the amphitheater, the tour guide said that the acoustic here is phenomenal. Who here can sing? And of course, my spouse pointed to me, Furley. And of course, and then they said to me, sing. I was, of course, not prepared for it, but I said, what the heck? I'm surrounded by hundreds of tourists who I may not see
never
again.
see them again.
And so it's like, so no judgment here if I screw up. I hope I don't end up on YouTube. But the whole point is I said oh, what the heck? I'm going to sing. So when they said sing, I said to myself, go for it, Furley. And I actually belted one moment in time right in the Pompeii amphitheater. Can you believe that? And so of course, I just got lost in the moment, and then after I sang, everybody just clapped, right? Like people from all walks of life. I was very happy, and then I said, like, oh my God, we did not record it, because at that moment you don't think,
No, you don't
know,
think.
because you don't plan for it, but it left a special memory in my heart that I will never, ever, ever forget.
When Furley told me this, I couldn't help but really think she goes on this cruise to celebrate life, to celebrate that she has conquered cancer. And here she sings in Pompeii. It's a city that was killed, a city that died. And the two opposites. Here she's celebrating life in this place of death. Isn't that amazing? I think that's marvelous.
Yeah, the irony of it, right?
Yes.
Like, but you know what? Talk about finding the positive.
That's right.
You know, always trying to find
Seizing the moment.
Yeah, seize the moment, find the
Yes.
positive in every opportunity. You know, as I've said, like I could never ever forget that. And so you know that is a memory of Pompeii that will forever stick in my heart, and also I hope would be a lesson for other people that face your fears, and at the same time take a chance, because the whole point is that you may never get that moment again.
That's
because
right.
Otherwise, of course, you can plan it that way, but something so beautiful and unexpected
Yes,
like that,
yes.
you cannot plan any better.
No.
Right?
It's just a gift. Such a blessing.
Yeah, and by the way, among all the other beautiful things that are out there, there are also really things that you need to be careful for, right?
Oh, definitely. You have to be cautious. You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. I almost fell down a flight of terrible stairs, marble stairs, and my husband grabbed my arm and saved my life. So you have to be very aware of your surroundings.
No, you were also saying, like, by the way, right there in the photo is that's in Barcelona, Sagrada.
Yes.
That's Familia Sagrada Basilica. It was packed with a lot of people dying to see this marvelous architecture.
Oh, yes. Oh, my heavens. The architect has died, and it's still not finished. Okay, one side of it is the Gothic, the front of it. And then on the other side, when you walk around a very long block to get to the other side, because it's extremely large, it's cubits outside, and it's all blocks, so that there's this magnificent crucifix on the outside, and it's all in those blocks. It's magnificent.
Yeah, because there's a story to every little piece that you see in there. There's the birth, there's the passion,
Yes.
of Jesus Christ, and the very little detail that you will see in there. The stained glass, where light hits it from depending on the time of day, creates this prism of colors that are just marvelous.
It just adds to the beauty. I mean, that is the beauty. On the inside, these stained glass windows that go, I don't know how high up, but
Yes, and it still is.
There's a picture of it. I mean,
Yes.
they're magnificent with the sun streaming in and the colors.
Yes. Absolutely phenomenal. Look at that. And by the way, you see those are, look at the railing. It's like curled up, like twisted.
Yes.
That's why, that is where actually the choir also goes and sing. So, it's so beautiful. As I've said, like every little detail that's like the hanging crucifix. It's
Yes.
like, I can't even begin to bask in the, magnificence, the detail, the material that they used for this are just,
It's just gorgeous.
yes. And actually,
Here's an example of the
yes.
cubis. I believe that's
So
the
like
name
say
of it.
you would see like these are the different stages of the passion of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And they said that this is the only crucifix that has Jesus naked, because all the others usually there's like a cloth
Yes.
draped over.
Yes.
And this one is,
The way he really was.
yes. And then actually look at that. It actually, Jesus of Nazareth, King of
Yes.
the Jews, it says. Very beautiful. And then, of course, that's me feeling like so overjoyed. And that's me shopping. People,
Yes.
people in Europe shop with all of these designer bags, right?
Yes, yes.
But look at me. I have my plain brown bag, and guess what's inside of it? A pistachio croissant. But anyway, you know what? I just wanted to just take a moment to share with you also that when you share about be careful, when you're in Barcelona, they said there's a lot of pickpockets. Yes, they are. And so most of us actually carried our backpacks in the front to make sure that we have a little bit more control. My daughter and my future son-in-law actually saw from the top of when we were on the hop-on, hop-off bus, the double-decker.
Yes.
From the top part, they actually saw an incident happen. So there was this man, probably in his mid-50s, somebody tried to snatch his bag, and they actually kept pulling. He fought to hold on to his bag, but obviously the snatcher was way too strong and too swift that he was able to grab it and run to the subway. So, and you can say and the man was he was crying. The police came, but there's nothing much they can do because he has already fled. You had an incident before with a gypsy, you said?
Yes. We were warned on the ship that there would be gypsies in the area and to be wary of them because they have the young children come and try and snatch your wallet and can pull it right out of your pants pocket. And it happened to my brother-in-law. They were surrounding him, about 4 or 5 young children, and he yelled at them, and he was not nice, but he did not want to be robbed. So you have to be on the lookout for these things.
Yeah, and by the way, I just wanted to share with you, when we first got to Greece, right, and we from our flight from the U.S., we hop on a cab, and they said it's only where we're going to go was actually only 3 kilometers away, the Airbnb. So I saw in this screen that says 3 kilometers, but then again they tried to talk you out. They're saying there's traffic, blah blah blah. The next thing I know, I was seeing 11 kilometers, and I said it was taking already half an hour, and now this is 3 times the cost of the cab fare. So be wary of all of these things because they know that you're tourists. You know that you could not communicate, and so the more knowledgeable we are, and of course after that incident, he knew that we caught on him because I said how come that's now 11 kilometers when it was supposed to be only 3 kilometers? But of course he would not give you the refund, but we also did not want to take a chance that he would flee with our baggages.
That's right.
And so it was a lesson learned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had something similar happen to us. We were going back to the ship, and we had this driver. Well, he drove us all around the Greek island 3 times before I caught on. And so, wait a minute, we passed this building twice already.
Right?
And then I thought you wanted to sightsee. So you can't get your money back. There's no point in arguing. You just got taken.
And yes, and of course, but don't let it steal your joy.
Oh no, get a laugh out of it.
Yes. And by the way, just a few tips when you travel. First of all, going back to COVID, right? With the mutation happening all the time and the different changes of protocol, we err on the safe side by bringing with us testing, the COVID testing kits. It's $23. Usually you can buy for 2, just in case they require. And also, if you don't feel well, you know that you'll be able to test yourself. I heard, by the way, on a cruise ship, my friend went on a cruise, and she started not feeling well after a few days. And so when she tested positive. And so she was separated from her family, and she was put on a different cabin with a balcony by herself. And of course, she was quarantined and not allowed to leave the boat.
Yeah.
So those are things that could happen. And so also bring with you over-the-counter medication, allergy pills. For example, for fever, for nausea, for whatever it was. When we were getting, because of the changing weather, it was colder in Greece than it was in Italy and France and Spain. And so we were running out of our antihistamine, and when we went to the pharmacia, we were trying to explain what we needed, but they could not understand it, so I just said, achoo! I guess that's the universal language, right?
Yes.
And so it is a little bit more costly because, like you buy in euros there. So, things like that. And right now, you can do a lot of research online on the places where you're going.
Definitely.
You can book on your tours ahead of time because they get sold out.
Yes.
So they get sold out right away. And so, but there always be different excursions, but, you don't want to miss out on the good ones, especially the ones that are being offered by the cruise ships. What was your favorite part of your 25-night cruise?
I'm not sure I have a favorite. I did go to a retreat center way up high, up a mountain that was very scary going up on this bus, but it was a tour from the cruise ship, and it was this magnificent retreat house with many places to stay, and it had a wonderful statue of the Black Madonna, which I had read about. I think that was one of my highlights. But I also got the most delicious lemon crepe in one of the stops in Spain that I've never been able to replicate. So there were many very happy times and very unique times. Went up in Gibraltar rather, and saw monkeys, and they were climbing on your shoulders. I mean, just magnificent experiences. Yeah. And to be very honest, I have to pinch myself and say, am I really here?
Yes.
Am I really at the top of the Acropolis? Am I really I went to Italy and Rome, and am I really at the Sistine Chapel? Yeah. So it's just so wonderful to travel. It really is.
Thank you so very much for that. By the way, in terms of currency, before you travel, you can exchange dollars to euros in a bank. Under $1,000, usually they charge $7.50 to exchange it. And then if you exchange it back from euros to dollars, it will be another $7.50 if it's under $1,000. And they do not take coins back. So, if you're on your way here, just give away your coins because you have no use for that here. You would not be able, unless you want it for souvenir. Before we left Europe, actually our last stop in Barcelona was actually a catamaran night cruise where there was live singer performing on the cruise line, and there was basically it was just very easy, very chill cruise on Sunset, and that is what I have in there. And my daughter actually caught me in there, just chilling and relaxing. What a magnificent time it was, and obviously that was us on Sunset. It was a little chilly in Barcelona, and that was the last excursion that we did before we left Europe. And the flight back home was just wonderful. We did not have any problem at all, and I could not feel more grateful for the amazing memories that we have created. Remember, when you go out on a cruise, don't just take photographs. Create memories. Create memories, because those are the things that would always stay in your hearts forever.
Yes.
What they said, like Helen Keller, was it,
yes.
Right? People may forget what you said or do, but they'll never forget how they made you feel.
Correct.
You see, what you felt in your cruises, in your travels, in your gatherings, going forward, create memories, because those are going to be part of your legacy. And also, remember, those memories are going to be the heartbeat and the soul of those photographs, of those visits that you take.
Yes.
Any last words?
This has been delightful. Thank you so much. It's so much fun to share where I've been. Thank you.
Oh my God. I hope that you have learned a lot of travel hacks, travel tips, tips on where to go, what places to go to, because there is so much, and there is so much for us to share. But research the places that you go to, because and go to places where you've never been, because
Yes.
you will remember that there will be certain experiences, certain life lessons that will just stay with you forever. Until next time, this is your host Furley Almonte for New Beginnings, with my wonderful co-host for today, Maureen Di Stallo.
Thank you so much, Furley. It's been a delight.